I'm Ken, and welcome to Addy's Adventures. If you're a subscriber, thanks for coming back. If you're new, think about subscribing. Click on the like button, hit the notification bell. That way you'll get notified every time a new episode comes up. All right, let's continue with episode 1. So, episode 1. So, big group tours versus going on your own, going solo. So, what I want to run through today is the pros and cons of travelling in a group tour, i.e., a Trafalgar, Tripadel, Globus, any of those big tour companies as a solo traveller. So, let's start with the pros. If you've never travelled before, it's a great way to travel. Everything is organised for you, right from when you see your travel agent, the booking, the costing, the whole lot, all that's taken away from you. The stress of planning is taken away and you can focus on just having a good time. Payment. Payment is set before you book. Meals, tours, graduates, transport, flights, all this is set up and priced out before you go. So you virtually make a one-off payment and that gets you through the whole trip. A bit of spending money, maybe a few tips here and there, a bit of other stuff, souvenirs, whatever. But you get a good idea straight away up front what the cost is going to be. Different tours, you can look at different length tours, different places, and see where it fits into your budget and what time. Each of these tours, generally all the big tour companies have optional extras, and this is where they really make their money. What they do is when you go on these tours, you'll have a walking tour for a couple of hours with a local guide, but then there'll be an optional extra like to go into the Colosseum or up to the Eiffel Tower, into the Louvre. It could be into the baptistry at Pisa, anything like that. So just remember, but you can see these before you go. Most people pick all of them, and I'd say it's close to a quarter, maybe about 25% of your trip will be extras and optional extras. So just be aware of that. But they're great. Everyone takes them, and they are really worth doing. The thing with tours is you have a full-time guide. This guy or girl, whoever does the tour, they know all the places you're going. They know currency. They know where the toilets are. They know everything. If you get in any strife, they can help you out. Right? They deal with the local guides as well, and the local guides, they help you out when you get into it, when you're on a walking tour, for questions about that area. The guides will know ATMs are, good shopping if you've got a bit of time off, you want to go shopping, any restaurants and stuff like that. Also with tours is everything is organised. Accommodation, transfers, ticketing, even your bags, when you get to a hotel, are taken off the bus and taken and set outside your room. You basically just walk off the bus, you handed out your daily key, your key. The guide would normally, on a stand at reception, have a itinerary for the next day, including the seating on the bus. So that's always good to take a photo of. Then you know exactly what time to get up, what time's breakfast, all that type of thing. But all that's done for you, you don't have to worry about that at all. Occasionally, some tours do have free days. It's not, or you might have a free half day. So before you go, just have a look at your itinerary and see, okay, we're here, it might be in somewhere 2 nights, and we might have a half a day. So just have a look at that and maybe plan, okay, we could do this, or we go for a walk, or we go to this restaurant. I was on a tour a few years ago in Spain and Morocco, and we had a half day free. We were in Costa del Sol, so a few of us got together and just went down to a restaurant on the beach and found a bar there basically, and had lunch and watched a bit of footy on the TV. So it's out in the desert of Morocco, we had a half day. So people just grabbed a few beers and headed to the pool. It was great. They're filming Gladiator 2 there at the time as well. So a lot of the movie stars were staying in the same resort. So that was handy. All right. You meet and greet and share your tour with other people. And I have been fortunate enough to travel with some of the most fantastic people I've ever met. On my group tour to Spain, Portugal, Morocco, I was with 17 Canadians who were just absolutely fantastic. So that's about the pros for group tours. I would suggest possibly if you're a first-time overseas traveller, not a bad way to do it. All right, so let's get into the cons of group tours. If you're a solo, there's a thing called single supplement. So how this works is, if you're a solo traveller in a group tour, you will get, if there's another person solo, you'll get put in the same room as them, as all accommodation is based on twin share. Now, obviously, they're not going to put you in the room if you're a male with a female. So it's sort of like for like. Now, you can be lucky and take a chance and that there's no other solo traveller and you'll get a room to your own anyway, but that's a chance you take. If you don't want to take that chance and you prefer your privacy and you want to know definitely for sure, you pay what's called a single supplement. Now, that single supplement can be around 20 to 25% of your tour cost. So just be aware that's quite possible that could happen to you. Now, on accommodation. Accommodation on these big tours is usually not in the centre of town. And a couple of reasons for that is, one, they have to get a bus there, a 40-odd seater bus. Two, they're usually a little bit less expensive just out of town. And with the accommodation, you're normally just staying the night there. You're not there for 4 or 5 nights and travelling around. You do all your sightseeing, you go to the hotel, you spend the night, and basically you get up the next morning and you go again. There is tours where you will go from the hotel to a restaurant possibly and like that. But once again, the bus has to be able to pick you up and take you there. Now, so a lot of the accommodation you'll stay at will be 3/4. And it's a little bit hit and miss as far as I'm concerned. The cheaper versions of Trafalgar and Globus, Cost Saver, and those, you're probably looking at 3. Trafalgar and Globus, you're looking at 4 with maybe an odd 5-star night here or there. Then you get into Insight and the more expensive tours. Yes, you'll stay in 5-star. Smaller tour groups where there may only be a 14, 15-seater bus, so obviously they can get into town a lot closer. So that's one of the things to remember. You're not always in town. So if you do want to have a bit of free time and duck in, you may have to get public transport, taxi or whatever to get into town. The other thing with big tours is you're usually in a different hotel every night. Occasionally, you'll have a 2-night stay, but most nights it's just one night. You get in the afternoon or the evening and you're gone early the next morning. So, and you can see that on your itinerary before you go. You can see where you stay 2 nights and 1 night, that type of thing. But 2 nights is usually a 2-night one will be a big city, say like Rome or Florence or somewhere like that, where you'll arrive into the city in the morning. You'll do some tours. You'll do a dinner that night. You'll do a tour the next morning, then off to and maybe somewhere like Pisa or something like that. Then another night in the hotel. So very rare, most are 2 nights. The days are long. You're usually on the bus by 7:30 and gone. You have to put your bags outside your room in the morning to be collected to go on the bus, and normally that's at 7 o'clock. So you have to basically be up and ready by 7. Normally what I would do, I'd be out at I'm an early riser. I'd be out at 6:45, bags out the front, down to breakfast. And then basically from breakfast I need to go to the toilet afterwards. There's always toilets in the hotel or whatever, and then onto the bus. So just remember it's an early start. And saying that, sometimes you don't get into 5 or 6:30 at night into your hotel that night. So they're long days. Normally what you would do on a 1-night stay, the next morning you get up, breakfast on the bus and do a 2-hour drive. Basically halfway to wherever you're going. You generally spend around 4 hours on the bus a day, sometimes longer. Just remember too, you get in at 5:30, 6:30 at night. Then if you're going to a restaurant in the Tuscan Hills that night, you may not get back till midnight. Then you're up and on the bus 7:30 the next morning. So that's something to consider. It is very go, 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 but that's what they have to do to give you value for money, to get you to see all the sites you want to see. Free time, I spoke a little bit about this before. There's very, very little free time. The days are long. Occasionally, and it's usually when you're on a 2-night stay, you may get in, you may have had a big day, You have that night. The next day it might be, say, in Florence, a tour of the city. Then after lunch you might have free time. So, if you know this in advance, plan for it. I know some people when I was in Rome, they went to a soccer game to watch Real Madrid and Roma play. So, that's the sort of thing you do. But you would have to plan a lot of this before. So just look at your itinerary and decide if that's what you want to do. Or it tends to be because of the such busy schedule. If you're somewhere, some people just chill out and go to the bar and the lounge and have a few drinks and talk and just have an easy afternoon. So I know I was in Florence, it was pouring rain in the afternoon, so yeah, just had a chilled out afternoon, a few drinks. So even though your guides, they like to get away early, and they keep saying, they'll say this to you, is to beat the crowds to the big sites that you're going to. But just remember, every other tour company's doing the same thing. They're all starting early. So if you've toured before, you'll realise around 9:30, 10, it's sort of 10ish, the tour buses hit the big tourist spots, the Colosseum, the Eiffel Tower, these Alhambra Palace, these sort of places. They hit them around 9:30, 10 o'clock. Nuremberg Castle, Salzburg Castle. So that's your 7:30 start, 8:30, 9:30. That's your 2-hour bus trip is normally what happens. So, but they tell you, oh yes, no, we'll get there early and to beat the crowds. But everyone else is getting there at the same time. So when you turn up the Colosseum or the Vatican, you're there with everyone else, and it can be super crowded. The early start too, is to cover as much ground as possible. When they take you to, say, somewhere like the Roman Theatre, the Colosseum, the Louvre, any of these places, Nuremberg, Salzburg Castle, anything like this, they've allowed a certain amount of time to get there, get in, see it and get going. And if you've been on a couple of tours, you'll understand that. And if they get behind, say, traffic or something like that, what suffers is how long you're in there. So if the traffic was heavy and it took you a while to get to the Eiffel Tower, instead of spending an hour and a half in there, you'll only be in there for an hour. I'll give you a good example. I've been to Pompeii twice, and I went in 2018, and you go there, the local guide took us through. We were in there for probably hour and a half with the guide. Then we had half hour to 40 minutes to wander in there, and the guide gave us some suggestions to go and see. It was quite good. It was reasonable. It wasn't too bad. So we had probably two and a quarter hours in there, and it was fantastic. In 2025, I was there, and we spent less than an hour with the guide in Pompeii, purely because the guide was running behind. They go through this, they take several tours through, they take one, then the next bus turns up, they take them. And the guide was behind because it was so busy. So for her to catch up, she just whipped us through there in less than an hour. Now, for people who hadn't been there before, probably didn't see much, but I knew straight away that we were missing out on some really good stuff. The amphitheatre, some of the specialty type buildings there, we didn't get to see them at all. And believe it or not, when we came out, we stood in the car park for 45 minutes waiting for our bus. And the guide had gone, this is a local guide, had gone and taken her next tour. So let me tell you, everything is timed, and the people what suffers is your time at the tourist or historical attraction. That's where they'll make up the time. They don't make up the time anywhere else. So you're probably looking at 4 hours of a 10-hour day spent on the bus. So that's a fair bit of time on the bus. If you're doing, a 10-day tour of Italy, that's probably not going to be as much. But if you're doing a 23, 24 European tour, you're going to be spending a fair bit of time. And it depends on the country. If you're going close to cities that are close or towns that are close. Yeah, so the other thing I would say is check on your itinerary. When it says on there, you will see the Eiffel Tower, you'll see the Louvre. That's exactly what you'll do. You'll drive past it, or the Arc de Triomphe or the Champs Elysees. That's exactly what you'll do. You see it. What you have to look for on your itinerary is visit. The word visit. Visit the Louvre. Visit Notre Dame. But if it says on there, you'll see Notre Dame. You'll see it as the bus drives past it, and you want to hope you're on that side of the bus that it's at. So just be aware of that when you're booking these tours. Read your itinerary, and you can read all this before you pay $1. Your travel agent can give you a full guide book on it, or you can go online and look at the actual tour. So just make sure, read the fine print. Where it says visiting means you go in. If it's saying you'll see, that's the difference, okay? There's a lot of walking. There's a lot of walking in these tours. I'm not saying you have to be super fit, by all means, no. I've been on tours where elderly people, a lady in her 80s, but she was reasonably fit for her age, but she was fantastic. And the group will sort of go along with you. There might be parts of the walking tour, like down steep stairs into a catacomb or something like that, where the guide may recommend you don't go down there because of the difficulty. I was on a tour where a guy had a knee replacement only weeks before, an elderly man, and he was fine. He hobbled along, and the longer the tour went, the better his knee got. So just beware, but there is a lot of walking. Yeah, just because you're on a big bus, they normally can't get close to the attractions. So that's where this walking comes in. Sometimes you get dropped off and have to walk in, whereas, on a small bus you get a lot closer. When you go to most major cities, Paris, London, wherever, there'll be the local guide. There'll be a walking tour, which is part of your. It's not an optional extra. It's part of your paid trip, and it's a walk with the local guide to point out the different attractions and points of interest. And if you have free time, you can always go back and have a look. This is the one now that really gets me annoyed. Really annoyed. The compulsory visit to retail shops. Every tour company is the same. I don't know if it's a tour company thing or a guide thing, but your guide somehow just personally knows the people in a lot of the shops. To me, it's a con. It's something I don't like. Why you want to spend 2 hours in a Swarovski jewellery shop in Switzerland or 2 hours in a carpet shop in Fez, I have no idea. But that's me, I don't buy stuff. So I'll give you a couple of examples. So when you go somewhere, you'll go to like glass blowing in Venice. Now that I don't mind so much because you're actually seeing the glass blowing, 20 minutes, they show you how to do it. An hour in their retail shop. So the 20 minutes is showing how they make the glass. You spend the next hour and they're the big sell. Now you don't have to buy, but like me, I don't buy. So I hang around in the shop for 40 minutes, 50 minutes to an hour, and I'm just standing there. And we're when it's just not interest me at all. So, and I can tell you now, they'll tell you, oh yes, it's a group tour discount list, you're not getting any discounts. I can tell you that now. I've been to shops on tours and I've been in those countries again and gone in there and actually bargained to see what I could get stuff down to. Yeah, whether it's a carpet shop in Istanbul or a leather shop in Fez, Morocco, or a perfume shop in Cairo, you're going to be fleeced, I can tell you. You'll pay the prices for special items because they know you won't have time to go and shop in the local bazaars and markets. So that's the one that really gets my goat. So other things that annoy me a little bit too. We were in Marrakesh, and when I was doing a Morocco tour, and we went into the market square around lunchtime in Marrakesh, and that's probably one of the most fantastic places in Marrakesh you can go, is in the big market square. But it comes alive at night. So we were there during the day, we had a bit of a walk around, and then we had an hour to kill. Now, there's nothing happening there. So we just went and got some, and we hadn't eaten since breakfast, and this is sort of mid-afternoon. So basically we just went and had some lunch. Most just went and had some lunch. I actually went and got a haircut. But the guide said to us, don't worry, we're coming back here tonight, and that's when you'll get to see all that. And I thought, oh, great, how good's that? That's when it comes alive. There's snake charmers, there's acrobats and dancers, and so a lot happens at night in this market, purely because it's fairly hot during the day. So I was so excited. We came back, we walked through it was fantastic. We went to the restaurant for dinner, which was great. And then as we came back out, what I thought was that we were going to spend an hour there in the market. We've actually just walked straight through. And he just said to us, we haven't got time. The bus is double parked waiting to pick us up. So we just had to basically rush back through the market and missed out on really, being able to hang around and have a good look at it. But that's how it works. There's very little time to shop in those cheap areas too. Then the other thing we come to, you're travelling with 40 or more people, and if you're on a European cavalcade or something like that, it's for 20 days or more, or Italy tour or Spain, it could be 15 to 20 days with another 40 people. I've been on a trip where some people just don't seem to see that their actions affect the other travellers. We were in one of those compulsory retail shops. After at least an hour, we were keen to go, but one couple decided to purchase an item, and then the man decided he wanted to get into a bargaining duel with the shop owner. That went on for another 30 minutes. Our guy was then informed he needed to move things along before he had a mutiny. So he got things moving. An hour and 45 minutes later, and no one had bought anything. So, you must remember you're travelling with other people. There's a lot of give and take. I've been on a tour where people would drag behind, and the group would then have to stop and wait for them to catch up. And another one I was in, we were actually going through the square in Florence, and one fellow stopped to listen to a band playing. The rest of us kept going. Before you know it, we're on one side of the square, he's on the other, and there's 2,000 people between us. And it's panic stations for a while till we got a hold of him. Yeah, and the other thing is too, as a big group, you move slower. Getting on and off the bus, that type of thing. Getting on ferries. We had to cross the English Channel at one point, so it took a while. Gondola rides in Venice. By the time 40 people all get into gondolas and get out and that type of thing, it takes a long time. So travelling in a large group, it can be very slow, but this is why they have an itinerary that they stick to religiously. So what I'm going to do now, instead of going to episode 2, I'm going to go to episode 1.1, and in that I'm going to do the pros and cons of travelling on your own. Thanks a lot.